through 3 hours of the regular show on terrestrial radio, and you wanted a little bit more, so that's why you found the Gun Talk After Show podcast, where we saved all the best things that we can't say on regular radio. Now here's Tom, Michelle, and Jim for the Gun Talk After Show.
After show time. Hey, glad that you were with us. Tom Gresham here. We have Jim Kinsey and Michelle Cleland. Hello.
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 Well, I'll tell you what, in a minute you can tell me the behind-the-scenes story, Michelle, of our callers. And evidently, I did not make everyone happy today.
Tom. Jeez.
Oh, I have to be the bearer of bad news, Tom.
I'm sorry.
You were bad today.
Tom was bad today. Oh, my gosh. Well, we'll get into that, I guess. But Kendall's driving around the world here doing his truck thing on line one. Hey, Kendall, how you doing, man?
I'm doing fine. Like you said, I'm an over-the-road truck driver, so I got a ton of time to listen to a ton of radio.
Okay.
And I got satellite radio, and, you know, I kind of monitor the progressive channels just to see how bad it's really getting sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And they talk quite a bit about the NRA and Russian collusion, and the most I've ever got out of it is a group of NRA officials went to Russia to talk about gun rights, and I sit there and I scratch my head, but the NRA, as far as I've been aware, has never really actually responded to any of this, and I was kind of wondering, after all this smoke, is there even a flicker of a flame of a fire there, or what's going on with that?
Well, it's like several questions included in your question, if you will. The left is making a thing out of the NRA and Russia. Of course, let's see. They couldn't get Russia to stick to Trump. They're saying, okay, who else can we beat up with Russia, right? So I think that's part of what's going on. Of course,
including themselves.
They hate the NRA, hate them. And, you know, without the NRA, they could pass their gun control laws. I mean, come on, that's what it really is. That's what they're looking at going, if we didn't have them, we could make this a perfect world, and we could get rid of all the guns, and the criminals would all then turn into ministers or something. I don't know. So they're playing up a weird Russia NRA thing. There was a woman, I can't remember her name, Maria somebody, who I guess actually was working for the Russians, and it sounds to me like NRA was kind of a victim of this person who claimed to be a gun rights person and went to the NRA and made talks about gun rights in Russia, and it was a total hoax. I mean, the NRA just got taken in on the deal, but you know, but you don't really blame the victims usually. So,
or whatever her name was.
Right. So, yeah, they're going crazy over that. As to is there anything more behind it, I don't know. I'm not on the inside. The NRA has addressed it briefly a few times, but at a certain point, it's kind of like with the Trump-Russia thing. All the media and all the left really wants is the conversation. They don't need for anything to happen at the end of it as long as they can keep the conversation going, because the conversation itself is damaging. And that's, in my view, just my personal view, what they're counting on is to be able to just damage people with the conversation, not necessarily even with an outcome. And I think was the plan with the Trump-Russia thing all along.
You know, it's kind of like, Tom, the old, do you still beat your wife?
Excellent point. Yes, no matter what you say, you lose. Mm-hmm. That's a good point.
It seems to be working to a certain point. When you listen to people on the left, they hate the NRA worse than they hate the tobacco company.
Well,
you know,
it's worse than that. It's actually worse than that. I have said for 10 years, and people didn't hear me for a long time, or for 20 years now. They didn't hear me. I think they're starting to hear me now. And I said, you have to understand that to the gun banners, and now that is the left, that's the same thing, the NRA, and along with that, most gun owners are worse than the KKK. It's not that they're, worse. They really do think of the NRA and us as being like the KKK that wants to have sponsor school shootings or something. It's like the weirdest twist of mind there. And only when you start to incorporate that into your thinking, you go, oh, okay, I see where they're coming from. They really do think that we are crazy, murderous people who would rather sell guns and don't care if kids die.
I think part of it is that they have an agenda, like the New Green Deal. Basically, that would eliminate a lot of personal property, and I don't think they want to do that in armed society. The NRA is standing...
You think?
I think that's the core of their being. They took a look around the country and they go, we want to go here, but we don't want to do this in an armed society. One car, electric car.
Right.
They want to tear down your house and build you an energy-efficient house, which I assume would be in a new government-approved location. They have a goal, and they don't want to do that in an armed society, so they need to disarm us by any means necessary.
All right, here's my question to you.
After listening to Progressive Talk Radio.
Let me ask you a question, Kendall, because we don't know your last name. We don't know who you are, okay? No, neither does anybody else. And Kendall may not even be your real name, and that's okay. That's cool. When you say they don't want an armed society, are you going to disarm?
No.
Good answer.
That was a great giggle. I love that. That was an unsolicited, uncontrolled giggle.
Let's put it this way. I have already invested in several pieces of PCV pipe.
Okay, so PVC sales will be going up. I get it. Yeah. No. For those who are not clear, the whole "we will not comply" movement is real. It's the real deal. And there is a line, and each person has his or her line. Some have no line. Some would say, yeah, I'll do whatever it takes. I'll be a law-abiding person. Cool. I'm sorry.
Well, there's some sheriffs now, too, saying that we're not going to comply.
I love that when they say, not only we're not going to comply, and we will not enforce these laws. We're not going to go confiscate guns from people.
One of them said that even if the feds come in to enforce them, they will arrest the feds.
Yes.
I don't know if that holds any water or not, but...
That would be, one of the things that, if people really understand, they understand that the sheriff is actually the high law enforcement authority in a county.
Well, and they're elected by the people.
I think that puts them closer to the people, don't you think, Michelle?
Mm-hmm. Very much so.
More in tune with the people. A lot of police chiefs are selected by mayors, i.e. politicians. And they actually, in many cases, are politicians with badges. Or at least, at the very least, are the best. They're bureaucrats with badges. Whereas sheriffs don't have that. They just are much more in tune with the public. Unless they're, in a few cases we've seen them where they start believing their own PR and they kind of get out of touch. But then, guess what? We have elections.
Reality check come election time.
Reality
exactly.
check. Coming down the tracks. You might want to step off.
Which why every single election is important.
It is.
Every single one.
Kendall, thank you so much for calling. I appreciate that, sir. I didn't want to ignore you there, but thank you. It's, every election's important, and showing up is important. It's interesting. In states where they're really under attack, gun owners start showing up. And they do have some success. The problem is the success they have is in lessening the harm instead of stopping the harm or actually doing good. If you let it get away from you, if you think, well, nothing's going to happen in Missouri, Texas, Louisiana, wherever you are, it doesn't matter. Nothing's going to happen here. Well, yeah, it will actually if you don't show up, and if you don't join, if you don't get involved.
Ask Oregon, right?
Yes, excellent point. Ask Oregon. Ask Washington State.
Ooh, ask our caller who had no idea that his state was heavily Democrat.
Oh,
had to throw that in there. God, it felt good.
But we're reactionary.
Well, I guess you should explain, Jim, because some people may not have heard our caller.
Right. We had which shame on them for not listening to the show,
Well, they might listen to this first, we've heard.
That's true. We had a caller named Bill who, I believe it was Bill, wasn't it? I think it was Bill. I'm pretty sure it was Bill from Oregon.
I don't listen to this show. I said that. What?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Bill from Oregon, and he was discussing the 5-round limit, mag limit.
Right.
And you had said you didn't think it was going to take place, but you didn't know because the state was so heavily Democrat and, so many gun owners are sitting on their ass, etc. You phrased it slightly different.
Right. He was in Gold Hill, Oregon. You're correct.
Yep. And he had no idea that his elected representatives were so heavily left-leaning and was flabbergasted because he's not engaged.
Well, and I took him to task. This is my day for taking people to task, I guess.
Evidently.
You think?
Yeah.
So, I'm feeling honored. I just come off of 5 days of gun, knife, and baseball bat fighting. So don't fool with me today, okay? Besides that, I'm sore, and my legs are getting cramped because of all this exercise that I never get, and I went and do that, so leave me alone.
Cranky Pants Tom.
Tom Gresham's Ninja Gun Talk.
Yeah, right. One thing I learned, I am not a ninja, and I will never be one. Mm-hmm. Not even in my dreams am I going to. But yeah, I mean, come on. You're surprised that your legislature has a supermajority of Democrats? What rock are you living under? And my point of all that, I'm not trying to get all worked up here. My point of that is we have an obligation to be informed. We have an obligation to be engaged, and you can't engage if you don't know what's going on. And if you are surprised that Oregon's legislature is heavily Democrat, WTF, my heavenly days.
Well, I think the classic thing that's going on here is they are, in the media, they are portraying such civilized or uncivilized, such unrest that is happening across the country, that people are so focused in on watching that media play-by-play event of the unrest that's happening that they don't pay any attention to everything that's going on behind. I mean, that is a classic move.
Well, and that, I tell you what, that takes us to our angry caller who did not like what I told one of our other callers, somebody who called in, did not want to be on the air and wanted to take me to task. Let's take a break, and then Michelle, who had to take this call, I'm so sorry, you can fill me in on all the ways that I was a dunderhead today, okay?
Okay.
All right. You're right.
It's her fault,
I know. Let
It's
me
my
count the
fault.
ways, right? I'll be right back.
Are you tired of leather holsters not holding up to everyday carry? Or having boxes of holsters for every gun? Try a holster from 1791 Gun Leather, offering multi-fit IWB and OWB options. Every holster is handcrafted from full grain, American heavy native steer hide. Order now and enjoy unmatched quality, versatility, and that pleasant leather aroma. Go to 1791gunleather.com for an affordable, distinctive holster that'll last a lifetime.
It's the next generation target pistol, the SW22 Victory from Smith & Wesson. Stainless steel frame, interchangeable match barrel, thumb safety, fiber optic sights, and a Picatinny rail. The SW22 Victory is ready for anything, targets or small game. Also available with a threaded barrel or cryptic camo finish. And it's backed by the Smith & Wesson Lifetime Service Policy. Learn more about the SW22 Victory at smith-wesson.com.
Okay, so Michelle, you're sitting there taking these calls, and you get to talk to everybody, and most everybody is pleasant and nice, and then evidently this is my day for ticking people off.
Right.
The hell it is.
Which one should we start with?
Whoa, what?
No,
That wasn't
you
nice.
had one person that was quite upset, and I could tell in his conversation with me that he was very worked up and very disturbed by, he says, the dismissive way that you treated the gentleman who was calling in wanting some information because he was moving to Paulding, Arizona on Gunsite.
Okay, the gentleman called in from Arkansas. He was moving to Paulding, Arizona, which is where Gunsite is located. He heard me talk about Gunsite, and he wanted to know about it. Where was it? I said, well, it's southwest of town, just a little bit, but it's easy to find. It's Rolling Hills Road, and then you turn on Gunsite Road, kind of like you're going to find it at the end of Gunsite Road. I said, but, you can find them at gunsite.com, and I said, it's not a public range, so you can't just go out there and shoot. You have to sign up for a class. And he said, well, he doesn't have internet. And I said, well, you could use your phone to find the website. He says, I don't know how to do that. At which point I said, and probably was, being too clever or dismissive, and I said, well, you need to find a 12-year-old to help you with that, which was, I thought, maybe it was a kinder way. I don't know. What I really wanted to say is, what the hell, dude? How can you be informed and know anything? It's like telling me, look, can you help me make a phone call today? If you're not using the internet, there's no way for you to be knowledgeable today in these days and times.
And you'll come up against the resistance of, well, I'm 80 years old, and that's not the way I go. Well, my 92-year-old mother is on the web. So Come on.
All this gentleman wanted was a contact number, and this caller thought that you shouldn't have been rude and dismissive and could have given him a phone number or contact.
You'll notice he never asked for a phone number. He wanted to know how to contact him, but not once did he ever say he wanted a phone number.
I thought he did, but okay.
Well, if he did, I didn't hear it.
Okay.
Because I would certainly have been able to give him a phone number had he asked, but I'd never heard him ask for a phone number.
I thought it was, he thought you were dismissive by the way you said, whatever, next caller.
Find a 12-year-old. No. I mean, I think that's the part that really turned him off.
I got it. I understand that. You know what? And here's the deal. I am dismissive. If you tell me I don't go on the internet, but I want you to help me find something, I'm dismissive of that. You have to help yourself. You cannot rely on me or anybody else to look up stuff for you.
Right. Now, 20 years ago, that might have been a semi-valid excuse.
Yes.
It's not 20 years ago.
But to tell me today, I don't know how to use the internet is like saying I don't know how to use electricity. And I know, okay, people will disagree with me and say, well, he's just being an a-hole. But I'm not going to help you with that. I'm sorry. You're beyond help. And I know that sounds awful and dismissive and, intolerant and all that. But you got to do something for yourself.
This week on Let's Slam Tom, I like the guy who said, Tom, I agree with you on everything pretty much.
Pretty much.
I love that one. I let him slide on that one. I was going to ask him, well, so what was it that you don't agree with me on? Then I thought, well, it's only a 3-hour show.
We're slipping notes back and forth.
Oh, I bet it's this thing he doesn't like. No, I think it's probably this other thing. Yeah.
And Tom's like, what are you talking about? None of those things are it.
Man, I got this 2 gig PDF of things wrong. I'll send you.
That's right. Yeah, we've been keeping notes back in the studio, right?
Yeah. We haven't even talked to Pat yet.
Oh, God. She's got 45 years to collect a list.
Oh.
Then we had the guy that was upset with Ted Nugent after his story for not controlling his dogs.
Right. Because he felt, just like you talk about how important it is to train with a firearm, he felt that it was just as important for Ted to have his dogs trained up so they wouldn't disengage from him or be by his side or, in the way that it sounded, go and attack this calf that was on the other side of the fence. Mm-hmm. And so he felt, with every other rancher, he assumed in his area would feel the same, that Ted should have had better control of his dogs. So just as important as it is to him to train with a firearm, it should be as equally important to have his dogs trained to not attack.
All right, let me ask you a question. What do you think of somebody who wants to call you and tell you all of this stuff, but then says, but I don't want to be on the radio to talk about it?
You lose any ground you had.
Is that a profile in courage right there?
Yeah.
I want to call him bitch to Michelle, but I don't want to talk to Tom about it. I don't want to go on the air and actually state my position.
I just want to make sure everybody heard he didn't call me that name. He said that they would do that to me.
Yeah, clarification. Good call there.
Oh, stop.
I'm quite sure I don't know what's going on anymore. Okay. I've completely lost control. No, that's assuming I ever had control of anything.
Right. Yeah, you're basing this all on a false premise.
This is true. I've never been in control, is what you're telling me.
No,
and then, of course, we got the guy that asked about the fighting school. I said, well, 2 things. If you're not paying for the product, you are the product, which, when we talked about this offline, Jim, it's like, well, okay, Facebook, you don't pay for it, but you are the product. They're actually sucking you in so they can sell you. Mm-hmm. And I think that's probably what, I don't know, but I have a pretty good idea that's what's going on with this place. They're sucking you in so they can sell you timeshares or real estate or memberships or something, because somebody is finding a way to make money out of this deal. And if you're not paying it, it's coming some other way.
Mm-hmm. So you get this training for free, ... Mm-hmm. But
and after this next break, we're going to give you a full list of things in life that truly are free.
Wow, short segment, huh?
Deep, huh? Well, I heard the music roll, and I figured that was, cue. Self-induced cue.
All right, music rolling. Time for us to be quiet.
Taking the striker-fired category by storm, the CZP-10 delivers what most in the genre cannot. From the superb trigger to the purpose-driven features to the engineered ergonomics, the CZ-P10 is the complete package right out of the box. With 12+1 capacity in the P10S, 15+1 in the PC10, and 19+1 in the P10F, there's a P10 for every purpose. For more information, please visit cz-usa.com.
Attacks happen every day. How will you react? See real people put into real-life criminal attack situations on First Person Defender. Discover what works and what doesn't. Kidnapping, ATM robbery, home invasion, and other attacks. Learn how to save your life and the lives of your family. Get the entire first season on DVD at shopguntalk.com. Get prepared. shopguntalk.com.
Are we back now?
We is.
Are we back now?
We're back.
Are we back now?
I'm here.
We're back. Is this thing on? Hello?
Hello? I can hear you breathing out there.
Sorry, everybody.
I want to tell you, Michelle, I was so proud of these women in this class.
Yes, how exciting.
I'm going to do a special shout out to Christy because I know she listens to the show from Minnesota. Christy was rocking the world with the CZ, and on the fourth day, she's walking out of the bathroom. They have nice bathrooms there at each shooting range. And she's on the gravel, uneven ground, and she twists her ankle.
Oh, no.
About midday, early to midday. And she's hobbling around. She says, I sprained my ankle, you know. But she's toughing it out. She's doing it. The next day, last day, Friday, we were doing all this physical stuff. And we were just doing all this crazy stuff. She's there. She says, man, you know, I iced it. I taped it up. She said, I went online. I looked up how to tape an ankle. Mm-hmm. So she's all taped up, man. She's there. She did the whole day with all this physical activity and everything else. Never complained once. And shot really well. And then she sends me a note afterwards. And she says, yeah, when we got down to Phoenix, I went to one of those dock-in-a-box urgent care places. It's broken.
Oh, no.
Wow.
What?
Now, how tough is that?
Tough cookie,
Well,
yeah.
come on now. Did you ever doubt?
I mean, give me a break.
We're women.
Well, this is true, you know, and there are no men who would put up with childbirth. Let's just start right there.
It's true.
Right?
I'm glad you said it and I didn't have to. It would be so cliche-ish if I said it.
But no, I'm telling you, Christy, you rock. She was tearing it up. And then, I mean, when we're finally done with the shoot off and everything else, she's sitting there, she's unwrapping it, putting her foot up on the table there. And I'm looking at this basketball, going, whoa, that looks bad.
Wow.
She was hobbling around, and basically, I guess it's like a break of the tibia where it goes into the ankle.
Oh.
I know.
Holy cow.
It hurts,
Yeah.
It hurts again just hearing it.
So, and Audrey, nice little lady, she and her husband, Mike, had gotten married 4 years ago at Gunsite.
Oh.
Cool.
Yeah. Ken Campbell, actually, the director of operations and their chief operating officer, he actually went online and got the credentials to do a marriage.
Now, how did that come about? What's the story?
Anybody can, you know what? It can take, in 10 minutes, you can be legal to perform marriages.
I know, but why
Guilty.
right there on site on the range? Like,
They
what?
love Gunsite. They've been there several times.
Oh, my gosh.
It was one of those, it's like, this is our happy place. It is for me. It's a happy place.
Wow.
But Mike is this big, tall guy. He's a surgeon. And little Audrey there, and she's shooting a Glock 48. That's the new one. 10-shot, single stack, real nice pistol. And she is shooting some amazing groups. It's one of those deals, it's the funniest thing. If she shot slowly, it was just okay. But when we speeded it up, she was drilling the center. And I think it was just a case of focus, mental focus. Mm-hmm. But funniest line for me of the week was, I mean, she's this nice lady, and we're talking. Somebody's talking. I overhear the conversation over to my side. She says, yeah, some people think I'm nice.
Oh.
And I'm going, oh, that's funny.
That's cool.
This is not a lady you would want to mess with, you know. Sweetest thing in the world, but don't mess with her.
Oh, if only men had to worry about that with everyone.
Yes. And there was someplace, I can't remember where it was. They actually put up billboards, and they said, over the last 6 months, 7,000 women have had firearms training in this town. Criminals, pay attention, something like that.
Right.
And they had a drastic reduction of personal, attacks on people. It was great. So kind of your point of if only more men knew that more women were trained, if only more women were trained.
Right. Well, yeah, both ways.
Yeah.
Women, talk to women, get them trained.
Oh, you know what? I mentioned earlier that I'd used these 4 different pistols. I don't think I ever got around to talking about that. We were so busy today. Mm-hmm. Shot the
so busy insulting people and dropping the ball.
Look, and there are a lot more people in this world that I need to get busy offending. So, look, would you just shut up? See, I started with one.
You're good.
Right there. Okay.
You're good.
I'm good with. There's one down.
What were you shooting?
I was shooting the SIG P365. Mm-hmm. Used the 12-round mags because it just shoots so much better.
Right.
Funny part was.
Explain why.
Longer grip, a place for my little pinky to go because it's waving out in the air. You know. Mm-hmm. What was interesting to me was how many people I talked to at Gunsite, instructors who had within the last 4 months bought a personal P365 and then bought a second one for somebody in their family.
Mm-hmm. They're that good?
They're that good. It was really good. I found it to start coming up a little bit short as we moved way back in range. Not that it's not accurate, but my inability to control the trigger well. Mm-hmm. Now, I have to say, this was first day, and I was rusty. Toward the end of the week, I was shooting much better. 1,000 rounds will do that for you. Mm-hmm. But it's a really nice pistol. I liked it. I also shot a Ruger Lightweight Commander 1911 in 9mm.
How's that?
Very nice. What a sweetheart. So really like that one. And then my host, I stay with friends there. He says, well, would you like to use my 1911? I'm going, well, no, it's a 1911. Then he brought it out and went, OMG. It was made by Chuck Rogers, which didn't mean anything to me because I'm ignorant about this stuff. But evidently he's like one of those guys, the people who really know. You go, well, yeah, if you were to order a Chuck Rogers 1911 now, it sounds more like a sentence from the judge. It's 3 years and $9,000. Oh. But it ran like a sewing machine.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I bet.
It ran like it was on ball bearings. And then the other thing is, you look on the slide, and engraved into the slide are the actual signatures of Louis Auerbach, Bill Jeans, and Jeff Cooper.
Oh, cool.
Folks from Gunsite throughout history going, okay, that's a cool gun. I have to shoot this thing.
Yeah, no doubt.
Was that a 9 or a 45? I assume
that
a 45.
45.
Yeah.
And then Ken Campbell from Gunsite says, okay, you got to shoot our Les Baer Gunsite 1911. Okay, if I must.
Yeah, twist my arm.
It was not a $9,000 pistol, but it was a really nice 1911. It ran flawlessly. Again, 45.
Right.
One of the things that's fun about the 45 when you're going up and scoring your targets, man, they make bigger holes than a 9.
A lot easier to see, eh?
According to the New York Times.
According to the New York Times, those fire bigger bullets.
Make bigger holes.
And bigger bullets make bigger holes. I think we should write that down somewhere.
Amazing.
Funny how that works.
So glad we could get that help. I mean, you're reading going, what? They didn't really say that, did they? Yes, bigger bullets make bigger holes. Thank you. You just kind of lock up in wanting to have comebacks, but there are just so many. I don't know. No revolvers in the class.
Okay.
Another little tidbit picked up from Steve Tarani, our lead instructor who works in all those worlds. And he makes no bones about it. He doesn't, hide the fact that he was a full-time employee of the CIA for a number of years and still does work for them and goes places and does things. But he stays in touch with the intelligence community. And he said he's getting reports now that there's an average of 2.8 assailants in each attack.
Right.
And so you combine that with, if you remember we had, a number of years ago, we had a police officer who has been compiling stats on shootings and what it takes to stop people. And he said with handguns, it takes an average of 2.5 hits to stop a person. Mm-hmm. Okay. So if you got 2.8 attackers and it takes 2.8 shots per attacker, that 5-shot revolver you have is looking kind of puny right now. It's a math thing.
And that's assuming that you're trained well enough and your adrenaline's in control that everyone's a hit.
That's true. Good point. That's assuming those are hits, not shots.
Right.
Yes.
And the shots versus hits ratio is also 3-to-1. So now you're talking 27 rounds is not unreasonable. And you start to think, 30-round mag in an AR is pretty conventional.
Well, it points out only the hits count. So you need the training. You need to be able to get the hits. And, think about that. And that also kind of goes to, he says, every 3-letter group, every SEAL unit, Delta unit, CAG now, all the rest of it, they all train for headshots. That's what they train for. He called the center of the chest hits. He says that starts a timer. You don't know how long it's going to run before the alarm goes off. The guy can't hurt you anymore. Could be 20 seconds. That would be quick. Could be 5 hours. He said shots to the head are a switch as opposed to a timer. They simply stop fighting.
Yep.
You go, okay. And yes, this is gruesome stuff. And a lot of people go, I don't want to talk about that. Okay, cool. But that's just what it is. Do you want this person to stop trying to kill you and your family or kidnap your daughter or whatever it is this person's doing that made you employ a gun in the first place? Oh, another training point. Other schools I've been to talk about, when you draw out, you holler out, stop now, drop the weapon, all that. And he said, don't do that. So that's cop stuff. So that comes from cop training. He says, if you're just a regular citizen and something has happened that has made you draw your gun, the time for talking is over. He said, because the time it takes you to talk could be the time it takes that person to get in the hit that he or she needs.
Well, that makes sense.
Food for thought.
Well, I like the fact of how you said just standing around. I mean, for instance, if you're in the mall with your wife or child or whatever it might be, you're, teenager that could take forever trying on outfits. I mean, I've been there, I've done that, but but you're standing around with the simple thing of your hands in your pockets.
Yeah, I'm standing there literally with my hands in my pockets, and one of the instructors, guys, and all these guys are just got so much experience. He said, Tom, if you have your hands in your pockets, you can't get them out in case something happens. And they all talked about practice standing in basically a fighting stance with your feet somewhat apart, with your hands at belt level. He said, because the reason you have your hands at belt level is because if you need to block a hit or something or fend somebody off, and Jim, you know this from your martial arts training, you never start with your hands down at your sides.
Nope.
You wouldn't do that. It doesn't make any sense.
And they talk about your knees being slightly bent. Yeah.
Michelle, interesting thing. They said they have the most problem with women. He said because for your entire life you have been told and taught to stand in a feminine way with your feet together, maybe even sometimes crossed in different ways. He says it's a terrible way to be standing if something happens, even if all you have to do is start running.
Right.
You would, if I said, okay, on your mark, get set, go, you would not start with your feet touching each other together.
No, not at all. No. But I do think that most housewives probably have the hands on the hip thing down pat, so they're ready. Just saying.
There are so many questions I'm not going to ask.
No, women standing around with their hands on their hips,
Yes,
lecturing.
Exactly.
Yeah, people can picture this. Come on.
Give you this look, I was like, really? That's what you're going to do? Yeah? With the hands on the hips, right?
You came in my house with your muddy boots.
You bought another what? What?
As long as you bought two.
You bought another gun?
Yeah.
And you didn't get one for me?
Exactly. You needed to buy two. Go back. No, but we've talked about it several times on how many more women we see coming into training. And I just think it's more and more obvious that this is what needs to happen. I mean, this is the movement that needs to be made. So jump on board. And we talk about not just sending bullets down range, but in order to get accurate enough and maintain your shots, that is where you have to start. So you have to start there in order to grow, but don't stop growing. That's the big send out.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing in trying to explain to people how to practice, how to train, because we use the words and we think we know what they mean, and I don't know that they mean the same thing to other people. When they say, well, I'm training, and they're going out and practicing shooting holes in paper. And you go, well, that's shooting rounds.
Right.
But it's not training. It may be practice. It may or may not be practice. Don't know. But training means working with an instructor, and one of the instructors there, it's an interesting, quick story. If you saw this guy at the store, you would think, oh, yeah, old guy. Okay, fine. It never even another thought. Guy's a martial arts. He's probably, I would guess, in his early 70s. Martial arts expert, knife expert, and hell of a shot. He had a serious car accident last year. He's a big proponent of dry firing. He said he couldn't shoot for months. But as soon as he was able to, he started getting back into his dry firing. And he says you should do a minimum of 50 draws a day, dry firing. Draw, press out, and work on your trigger press. Doesn't have to do it fast, but you're working on getting smooth. And he said it made all the difference when he got back to the range that he still had his shooting ability because he had been doing dry fire practice the whole time.
Plus, you save a boatload on ammo.
Well, you can shoot with ammo if you want to inside. It's your house. It just depends on how close your trailer is to the other ones.
So you thought you got some calls this week about Tom.
My gosh, I'm not showing up next week.
You're on your own, big boy.
Oh, my word.
My husband, based on what you told him.
And then you got to move the trailer. Okay. So, well, the dry fire, one of the things I found, and I'm going to hook this together, and I think you just have to do it all the time. I was really having trouble with was particularly when you're shooting multiple targets. And we would have like 3 targets. And they say you go, okay, from left to right, you go head, body, head, and then you go down to the body and then back up to the head on the left and then down to the body on the left. So you're having to, head, body, head, then body, head, body. That's the drill. Well, what that requires you to do, and it's what I found difficult, is your eye has to go to the target and then back to the front sight each time.
Right. You acquire that target first.
Right. Because you can't keep looking at the target and just hope that you get it over the sights because you're having to make a headshot. You got to hit something that's roughly 3 inches. Call it a 3-inch diameter circle at 10 yards. That's not necessarily easy, especially if you're trying to go fairly quickly. And I found that it's an eye exercise among everything else it is working your vision from target back to front sight, from target to front sight, back and forth. And I think that's one of the places where dry fire practice could really be helpful.
Right, and I think that's why it's so important that people spend the time and pick out the right gun, because some of these smaller guns, they don't really even have a rear sight. It's just a notch.
Or much of a front sight.
Right. So take your time. I mean, honestly, if this is what we're talking about, take your time. You need to look at these things. And as we age, we all know our eyes aren't as good as they were. It becomes more and more important.
Well, I've just decided not to age, so that's...
I thought you were going to say aim.
Wait, maybe that's what I'm doing.
Finds a solution for everything, this guy.
But do you think there would be a big difference in the outcome if you were using your standard black sights versus some of these Ameriglows or the fluorescent green sights?
I can see definitely some scenarios in low light where if you have all black sights, although it's rare to find those on defensive guns now, they're usually some kind of a dot.
Right.
But yeah, an all black sights, great on a nice sunny range where you have plenty of time and bullseye type competition. Now, I could make the argument that you don't need dots on the rear. But I think you need some kind of a shiny, it could be a gold dot, a gold bead. It could be a bright white bead. It could be one of the fiber optic sights on the front. I definitely know it makes it faster to find the front sight. And I could also make an argument for somewhat wider gap in the rear sight. If you're trying bullseye, you want that gap to be real narrow for the accuracy. But if you want some speed, you widen it up so you can pick up that front sight and drop it in.
Easy access. Yep.
And I've tried this, and don't try this, folks. Don't go with the strobe sights that are flashing back in your face.
Gosh.
It's so distracting.
Party time, psychedelic.
Hey, dude.
Actually, it's just the sights were not strobing. That was just Jim on those drugs again.
Yeah, must be.
I know how you are.
Boy, you got
hit
me
the Tylenol again, dude.
I'm not quite sure where he's getting his equipment, but I know where it doesn't come from.
No, at my age, it's not psilocybin, it's ibuprofen.
At Gunsite, they call it vitamin I.
Yeah.
He said you are definitely going to want to hit some vitamin I each day after these classes.
So, did you have a chiropractor massage appointment right after?
That would have been if I could have the concession on chiropractor after this thing, because man, you're shoving and doing.
It's an awful big range bag you got there, Gresham. Yep, carry my own chiropractor.
We did not actually do on the ground. We were avoiding that, but there's an awful lot of pushing and shoving and blocking hits, and your arms are bruised. And
sure.
Hey, it's cool, man. I like it. And those women hurt me.
Big bullies.
Yeah, the women are the bullies. Jeez. There's a chance to take it out on people.
Right. All that pent-up aggression.
Remember that guy you picked on from Oregon? Take this.
His name wasn't Aggression. It was Gresham.
Oh, Tom Aggression. I like it.
Did somebody spike you guys tea or something?
Sorry.
Yes.
Well, how'd you know I was drinking tea?
no
That's
doubt. How'd
scary.
you know?
Oh, you haven't seen that little sneaky camera, have you?
I guess not. Blink. I missed it.
So you guys have been seeing the stories about Vice President Biden and leaning in on women and all that.
Yeah.
So I now have a name for him.
Uh-oh.
He is the Creepy Veep.
Gosh.
Oh, God.
Apropos of nothing whatsoever.
Yeah.
But there he is. Shotgun Joe, as we call him.
Oh, jeez.
His advice is to get a double-barrel shotgun, and told his wife, if something's going on out there, just step out there and fire both barrels up in the air.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because that's safe.
Yeah,
Because
you want
number one, it's safe, and number two,
Both at
wait,
the
you now don't have a loaded gun.
a club.
You have a club, and you just told them where you were.
Yeah.
Hello.
I always thought Joe Biden was Obama's life insurance policy. We don't want that guy to step up. Oh, forget
Anything
it.
but him.
Yeah,
Oh,
basically.
God. Lord. So, one of the other takeaways is I love 1911s, but I don't think I will carry a 1911.
Not enough rounds.
Not enough rounds.
I was just going to ask you I was going to ask you earlier how many magazine changes. You had to
even
get
in
good
the
at
nines,
that.
right?
Yeah.
Well, you need a lot of mags. You should probably have 6 mags at a class like this. What I did was I would have 3 single-stack mags on me, on my belt. So I've got 4 mags, one in the gun. And then I would have 2 or 3 other mags in my pocket. And then I'd also have 30 to 50 loose rounds in my pocket. And after each time we would shoot, if at all possible, if there's time, I'm taking out a mag and jamming mags and loading them up.
I thought maybe you had people behind the scenes for that.
Oh, yes, I have people for that. I have my mag loaders with me. With my Perrier. No, you got to take care of your own ammo.
Yep,
and,
you got to do it.
The other part of it is, look, this is real world. One of the things they're teaching is they tell you this is not a beginner class. So you manage your own ammo. If you run out, too bad. If you slide locks back, fix it. I mean, like right now, let's do an emergency load. It would be wise if after you shoot a string, you do a mag change before you go back to the holster. It's like these are big boy rules. Take care of yourself.
I'm out of ammo. Oh, just head out to Gresham's car and check his center console. He's got all kinds of ammo floating around in there.
Or just get on Cabela's. They'll send you some. That'd be fine. Yeah, you take care of it. They kind of have a no whining rule, but nobody does that anyway.
Did you whine about that?
I did. I whined about that.
What do you mean
look,
you don't have a whining room? You can't whine.
Oh, that kind of wine. Oh, I thought I was out at first.
You thought you were going to the wine room.
She thought she punched out already.
Yeah, because that's me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Look, after Christy's performance, no one was going to dare complain about anything.
Right.
She was out there shooting and moving and fighting on a broken ankle.
Yeah, that's crazy. Good for
oh
her.
My gosh. She the woman.
Oh, yeah.
So it was fun, and you meet a lot of interesting people from different places and different reasons for coming, different backgrounds. It's always getting to... Oh, I mentioned briefly, I have to share this, fill in just a little bit. There were 2 250 classes. That's our basic pistol class, the 5-day introduction class. And in one of them, they had this 17-year-old girl. And I don't care. It's not a woman. When you're 17, you're a girl, as far as I'm concerned. And she's cute as a button and just perky and all that. And I got to just kind of see her during the lunch when everybody's together. Well, it turns out she is on her way to West Point. She's got an appointment to West Point.
Yeah.
And she was top gun in her whole class. Got those lightning fast 17-year-old reflexes. And damn those young eyes. Man, they can see sights and everything.
See things I couldn't.
That's just not fair.
Right.
Girl.
That's awesome.
I'm going to go back to insulting people. Swear. It was a great time. Really had fun. And if somebody really wants some fun, look up Steve Tarani. It's T-A-R-A-N-A, 2 A's, T-A-R-A-N-I. Look him up on YouTube. Some of his videos, you will not be able to sleep. Whether it's with a knife or a club, or, believe it or not, with basically with a scarf. He talked about this one village, and he went over all parts of the world trained. One village where when kids turn 4 years old, they're given one of these scarves, and they're trained with them for like 10 years. And at 14, they can break somebody's neck in half a second. He said, in this village, they do not have a word for lock. There are no locks on doors. There's zero crime. Oh, how about that? Our armed society is a polite society. But yeah, look at some of Tarani's videos. You just go, Dude, if I saw him coming at 100 yards, I'd just shoot him. I'm not let's forget the 30-foot rule. That guy's just too, and nicest guy ever. Just pleasant. He's going to be soft-spoken. Well, I guess you could be soft-spoken when you can do that stuff.
Right. What was that? Walk quietly, carry a big stick.
Yes,
yeah.
That's right. Speak softly, carry a big stick. Yes.
Oh, that's what it is. Yeah.
It was great fun. It really was. I don't know, Michelle. I'm just thinking, with all this increased interest in self-defense, it seems to me that that's a real business opportunity for shooting ranges.
Mm-hmm. The only problem is, of course, making sure that everybody that comes in is trained up enough to and disciplined enough to keep that finger off the trigger when they pull it out of the holster. I mean, that is the number one reason why people are reluctant to train in those ways.
Well, and to do it,
I mean, it has to be so controlled.
Yeah, and these guys, I mean, they'll have a half a day of classroom and then a day at the range where probably the first hour or two is dry fire. We're just working on draw and presentation. And then they have, if you have 10 or 12 students on the line, you have 4 instructors. Because you have that many eyes so that each one's basically watching 3 people. Because one person cannot watch 10 people.
No.
Right. And know what's going on.
Right.
We did have one gentleman who was a little behind the curve and got a little bit, he just couldn't quite handle his pistol as well as he should have, even though he'd had the prerequisite course, but it had been a long time ago. And I liked the way they handled it there. I mean, in some places they would have said, okay, you're going to have to leave. But they said, look, we have a 250 class going over here. How about if we just lateral you over to that and drop you into that?
Cool.
It worked out for everybody. He was happy. We were happy. He got the instruction he needed. It worked out very well. Mm-hmm. So I thought that was a really good customer service way to handle it.
Yeah.
So, but they looked at that and went, yeah, you're just not ready for this class right now. Let's get you back. You've heard me say, Jim, I think you could go back and take the same 250 class or whatever the basic class is at these places over and over again. You're going to get something out of it every time.
Sure.
And it's basically a refresher train-up.
Yep.
But you go in there keeping your ego in check, too.
Yeah, I go in and tell them, look, I want you guys to know I'm kind of a big deal here. No. You better have your ego in check because, trust me, they will take it away from you.
But I think that's the biggest thing that gets in the way of a lot of people training seriously. You walk in there with this preconceived notion that I've got this, I know how to shoot great bullseyes.
Yeah. Well, they told me they get the calls from people say, I was a cop. I'd like to really start with your advanced classes. And they go, no.
Right.
I've been shooting all my life. I don't need that basic class. No.
Yeah, no, this is our house. Right?
I could teach at your school. Let me just jump up to advanced.
Yeah, I was a firearms instructor. Yes, you're still going to take the basic class. Yes.
Yeah.
Which is, like everything else, all those rules come from experience.
Right.
Where they said, this is what we have to do, which makes sense. And as soon as they get in, okay, I'll share with you this funny story. They had 2 police instructors, not police officers, but the firearms instructors there several years ago. They're from Texas. And they signed up for the 250 class, the basic class, right? So, because they wanted to learn how Gunsite teaches so they could take that back, right? So, like, second or third day, this Ken went over and said, well, how are you guys liking us here, He said, we're really having a great time. We're learning a lot. He said, well, really? He said, what is it particularly that you're learning from here? He said, that thing you talk about where you look at the front sight, that really works.
Oh, my goodness.
I'm not kidding you.
Oh, my gosh.
I never thought of that. Tintot moment.
Okay.
Wow.
Well, I'm glad you're here.
Could you discuss your credentials?
Yeah. Well, they're probably the best people on the force. Crickets. Wait a minute. Are you trying to tell me something?
No, those were the credentials.
Tell me your credentials. Crickets. Very nice. I like that.
Thank you. I'm here all week.
No, you're not.
I planned on being here all week. I guess that changed. Hey, speaking of NRA, show
Speaking
coming
of
up.
NRA,
It's
we're
coming
going to
up
be doing
in a
the show.
couple
I think we're doing 2 shows from NRA.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, we're going to do 2 shows. I know we're going to be at the FN booth, and I can't remember. Is it Ruger? Do you know?
I don't know. I
probably should find out.
Yet.
It'd probably be good for me to show up at the right place.
Yeah, never hurts.
I don't know, just a
We
thing.
may have a couple Gun Talk staff people trying to make it out there to barge in for a few hours.
Oh,
Yeah.
talk to me.
Yeah, Tommy and I have talked about, Tom Hennig and I have talked about possibly doing something, depending on schedules, if we can make, because it's only about a 4.5 hour drive from you.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
And let's see, I cannot remember. Have you been at the NRA show before?
I have. I've been to a couple of them. Yeah, I haven't been to
Louisville?
Indiana?
No, I've been to SHOT Show and I've been to NRA. I just haven't been to Indy in a long time.
Okay.
But yeah, I'd like to pop in if we can make it happen. It's all a matter of scheduling, you know.
It always is. It's just, are we going to be able to make it happen and figure it out?
Yep.
All right, well, we shall talk. And Michelle, you're welcome to drive on over. Come on over.
Okay.
Yeah, let's see if you don't have anything else going on in your life.
Right, nothing ever.
Sitting around making bonbons. Right. Whatever bonbons are. I don't know.
Yeah, there we go.
I don't know what those are. All right. Is that somebody's phone, or do you guys actually have crickets?
No, that's crickets. I was just triggering a sound effect for realism. Theater of the mind.
Theater of the mind.
Since my regular mind is
Marceau?
pretty much absent.
Yeah, Marceau does radio.
Those were his crickets. Literally his crickets.
No doubt.
Yeah. The nice part is now we're just entertaining ourselves because everybody else has stopped listening and moving
Right.
on with their
They're
lives.
like, blah, blah, blah. Tom was rude. Yada, yada, yada.
Right. Charlie Brown's teacher. Wah, 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 wah.
We're going to hear from the Society of Prevention of Cruelty to Crickets is going to be calling us this week.
That's right.
But I do want your callers to know that you listen to those people who disapprove with what you say as well. They don't have to be in complete agreement.
No, I wish they would just come on the air and say, hey, and we could talk about it. But,
And I offered, and neither one of them wanted to. I mean, they're so, the one gentleman was so worked up that he's like, yeah.
Because Tom in the past has said, we got somebody disagrees with us. Let's go to Bill Jones in Poughkeepsie, New York, whose phone number is 417.
Right, yeah.
Who is a poo head. As our kids used to say. A poo head.
Well, gets the point across.
That's right. Okay, well, let's see, we're here. God, I don't know where. We're here next week. Let's see, I'm off to Boondocks Training Academy, shooting school in northern Mississippi the following week, all week, where we're shooting guns and gear. And then before you know it, we'll be at the NRA show. That's coming up in 2.5 weeks.
2 weeks, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Amazing. Time flies, that's for sure. All right, I'm going double stack, high cap, definitely going bigger. There's no way around it. Kind of, as much as I love the 1911, I'm not gonna. That's just not gonna be my carry gun now.
So, but you don't just move over to those guns without training and working with them first.
No. I like to get them out, make sure they're unloaded. I like to practice spinning them, twirling them. It's a technique. You spin it and then it lands in your holster. No, you're right, of course. Don't just change guns. You got to go out and work with it.
Yeah.
The grip angle is different. So when you draw, it won't naturally come up where you're sighting in, and so that's where dry fire draw practice is so important. Trigger pull is going to be different. Nothing has the trigger pull of a 1911. But mainly it's just getting comfortable with it, get used to it, don't you think?
Breaking in those holsters.
Oh gosh, yes. I had a new leather holster. Man, my gun was I was like pulling my pants up to my armpits trying to get the gun out of the holster. It was ugly.
I'm trying.
And Ron, one of the instructors, says, I got some stuff for that. Of course, he's old enough to know leather holsters, right?
Right.
And he pulls out the little bottle of Super Slide, whatever it is, and we rub it inside the holster and gone. It worked, by golly. And that's one of the areas, honestly, where the Kydex holsters are so nice. They just start out broken in. Mm-hmm. No issues. So, anyway. So now I'm on the search for a gun again. Ooh, goody!
Thank goodness the NRA show's coming up.
Ooh,
yeah, and I thought that was a hell of a gesture, too, that you're sending all your 1911s to the studio for Tom and Michelle and I. That's great, Tom. You're such a...
I'm actually doing a personal gun buyback effort. I'm just going to crush them all myself right here.
And video it to rub it in. Here, guys.
Somehow the video got lost, and there may be no evidence of this ever happening. Just saying.
I'm with you.
No. But I'm also, as much as I would love to, I am not going to get a $9,000 1911 either.
No.
It was really nice, guys. It was really nice.
How much does the deluxe model go for?
Yeah, really.
It probably wouldn't cost you $9,000 anymore anyways. It'd probably be more like 11 or 12.
It's probably gone up since then, yes. Actually, since this morning.
Right.
God.
And a quick congratulations. This is the longest after show in our 5-year run.
What?
Da-da-da-da.
So we have successfully gone long enough where absolutely no one is listening.
Right. Actually, we don't even need to do one next week.
just stay tuned.
Pick up in the middle.
Just chop it off. That's fine. It's good. All right. I'm leaving you now.
Oh.
Leave. Have a good week, guys.
See you, buddy.
See you, Tom.
Bye.
Well, that wraps up another Gun Talk After Show. But if you want even more gun-related stuff, don't forget to check out Gundealio. It's the app for Apple and Android phones that connects you to all the Gun Talk shows, plus even more. And we'll catch you next time for the Gun Talk After Show.